there, Workwear Nation. Matthew Hudson here, CXO of Workwear Safety, with another fit tip for all you safety professionals. And on this fit tip, we're going to focus on what is the ASTM, right? What the heck is the ASTM? Now, the ASTM is the American Society of Testing and Materials. Now, this organization was founded in 1898, so over 125 years of history within this organization. Today, they've made over 13,000 standards. They're used in over 140 countries nationwide. In fact, here's the current book, right? Look how many standards are inside this book of things that they've done. You can see what they're up against and what they do. Now, why the ASTM? Why the even need for that? Now, you safety professionals know that OSHA comes and visits your job site, right? They inspect it and they say, hey, look, if your workers are doing this type of work, I need them to have protection on their feet. I need to have protection on their hands, protections on their head, their ears, right? And so they tell you that that's what you need to do. But to protect their feet, OSHA doesn't say they have to have a foot protection and this is what that means. They say they have to have foot protection. Enter the ASTM. The ASTM, that independent organization that wrote these 13,000 different standards used in 140 countries, right? To create and say, these are the standards by which we will uphold what OSHA is hoping to do in that workplace environment. Now, as a safety professional, you're told, make sure that your employees are safe. Of course, we at Workwear not only keep them safe, but productive and happy on the job, right? We're focused on all three. What's the ASTM roles in doing that? So the ASTM, the first thing that they do is they write standards, right? And the standards, like here, this is one for safety footwear, F2413-18. As you can say, performance requirements for protective safety toe cap footwear. In this, what we're saying is, what do we believe is safe? So OSHA says wear protective footwear. So this standard is going to say, okay, well, this is what that means, right? Now, the first thing is the -18 that's on any standard that you have, the F2413. The -18 is the year the standard was adopted. So you may have some footwear that have a -17 or a -15 because they're older standards. Every time we update and revise a standard, we change the date on the end, the last two digits to tell you the years it was adopted. Most current right now is 18. We're actually under a revision of this standard, and hopefully there'll be a -24 that we can able to get published for you guys next year. But this is the one side of it that says, all right, if it has a safety toe cap, for example, I want it on this particular boot, when it has 75 pounds of downforce coming on impact on top of that safety toe cap, I want it to maintain a 1/2 inch of clearance. Now, this is a puncture resistant boot. On that puncture resistant thing, I want it to go through 1.5 million flexes of the puncture resistant plate to determine that it is safe for them and doing its job. Right now, that's the first part, to say, well, what is the level by which we want it tested to determine its safety? The second part is the testing method. So if I go back a couple pages here, this is F2412. F2412-18 is actually the testing methods that we're going to use. So now, while the standard says 75 pounds, right, this is how you're going to test that, how you set up the machine, how you put the product in there. Everything about how you're supposed to handle that test is done in the test method. And so F2413-18 references 2412-18, right? It references it and says, okay, I want you to do 75 pounds. Now, you really, if you think about it, we could have said, okay, on this shoe, we want it to be 100 pounds. We want it to be 3,000 pounds of compression instead of 2,500 pounds of compression. The standard is what tells them. The test method says, okay, you tell me what you want me to test it to, that's what I'm going to test it to. But by having this, we know that every piece of footwear has been tested the exact same way. The lab that's going to test them for you could be anywhere in the world, but the lab's following the exact same steps to make sure that it's standard. Now, some programs say, okay, you know what? We're just going to let our employees go out and get their safety shoes. We'll reimburse them. We'll take care of them. Here's the problem with that. How do you know they bought ASTM certified safety footwear, right? Well, here's how you know. On side every piece, it's required, as of course, according to the standard, is that I got to have this label right here, ASTM 2413-18. Underneath there, I see that MIC. That's telling me that's impact and compression, that it does have a safety toe. There's also an EH and a PR right there, telling me that this is an EH shoe, electrical hazard, that passes the test according to the standard, and that it's puncture resistant, that passes the test, like I talked about before, that this midsole that's inside of the puncture resistant has been through 1.5 million flexes in the test to make sure that it does work. and hold up over time, right? So that's what the standard will do. You're looking for that label. So if you're sending your employees out and buying them, they could buy something that's got a safety toe cap in it, right? If it doesn't have that label, you're going to have a problem when there's a recordable and you turn it into your insurance company. He's going to say, hang on, were they wearing ASTM certified footwear? When you work with a company like us, like Workwear Safety, that's one of the things that we guarantee compliance on, right? You'll never see a product allowed on any of your employees that doesn't pass the standard with that. Now, the standard, how are these things created? How do the committees work? So they're all volunteer organizations. There's staff that kind of helps these volunteers, but the standards committee is all volunteers. So I'm a member of the F30 committee. F30 committee happens to be the footwear committee that also is dealing with this F2413, the safety toe or protective footwear, right, that we talked about. It's also the committee that developed the slip resistance standard, F34 45-21. And so the committee is made up of all the various stakeholders, right? So you've got the manufacturers who build the product, right? The footwear itself. Then you've got the labs that do the testing, okay? Then you've got the companies that make the machines that do the testing. Then you've got companies that make the parts for the machines that do the testing. You can have an insurance, an actuarialist on there to do the risk assessment, to be part of that. And then you also can have retailers like us that are on that committee. And so you see you have all the various vested interest parties coming together, and they're the ones determining. Now this very large group of volunteers, it takes a long time to get a standard passed. That's why you saw -18 was the last one, and we're hoping to be -24, right? But you know that when it's passed, it is safe because you've had the people building the shoes, the people testing the shoes, everybody involved, all the stakeholders involved to come together and say, this is what safety means. So as a safety professional, you need the ASTM. As a retailer, we need the ASTM because it's the one independent organization that affirms to us that our employees are safe, productive, and happy on the job.